Welcome to the Vincier Project, an H-hour production where we help people become more skilled, more competent, and more brave when they're facing the most difficult circumstances of their life. I hope you enjoy our podcast. All right. We're back. We're back at it. Running late, messed up the schedule this week, whole bunch of stuff going on. Sometimes meetings, you got to reprioritize, shuffle, and things are not going to be perfect. I get home last night and I'm like, hey, I'm going to record in the evening. And I'm not. The journal entries in the morning are like roses are red, violets are blue. The world is optimistic and hopeful. By the end of the day, I'm like seek and destroy, death and destruction, like get the AC 130 on station and just like burn it all down to the ground. But I mean, that's healthy exhaustion, right? Like you're moving, you're getting physical fitness in, you're working through issues, trying to solve problems, meeting clients, working and supporting your family. Trying to explain to Mary why she can't be on the podcast this week, and it was never part of the plan. She needs her own podcast, or maybe I'll have her guest podcast when I don't feel like doing it, or I can't get to it. Just have her jump on, hit go, and go. We got some new lights in here. Aunt Jamie messed us up. They're from China, and I don't know how to change the colors to make it magenta to bring out my nose thing right there that I got from wrestling with my son. If you're listening, obviously you can't see it, but another snout shot. I got a big snout. It's been in the way before. Yeah, got a big snout. Been broken before. Took a few shots to it, but we're here now. We're here. No apologies for any of that. We're going to talk about apologies today. I think that's something that, and I think in good counseling and therapy in my practice, it comes up regularly. Every client somewhere in their storyline or narrative is going to have to apologize to someone, someplace, something, somehow at some point in their story. Or I would say most often it's themselves, but alternatively, I got to make amends for some stuff sometimes, and not everybody's excited about offering and receiving and giving apologies and forget about it before we even escalate and get to the point of forgiveness or that thing, that abstraction. Apologies are usually where it stops. So, but you know who owes us an apology as Americans is the men's national team. Like, dude, how do you come off of 4th of July and like lay a brick? I don't know the first thing about soccer, but I think when you show up, man, you know, there's a effort, energy kind of thing. And I get it. I don't know enough about soccer. It's America's number 5, 6, or 15th sport, right? So you're getting the B players that live elsewhere. Like if our best athletes played soccer, it just wouldn't be fair, right? That's the reality of it. And either way, right? After July 4th, and then you throw up a brick. I mean, that's kind of embarrassing. But Junior Soprano said it, man. They never had the makings of varsity athletes, right? So adios. Get some people in there that can perform. That's what I say, right? That's how you got to look at it, right? Because global, right? You're representing the big show. I don't know. That's my stuff. But man, enough time, attention, sleep, and definitely enough energy on the men's national team because it's not particularly interesting in the storyline of what I want to share today. But I don't even know if what I'm going to share is interesting, right? So sometimes I ponder that and question that. The good thing is because I'm stubborn and naive and ignorant, I just wander through life and roam through. I'm still here. I'm still alive, and I'm going to keep going. So that's what we're going to do. And you know what I want to reference is for me is man, I when you work in the helping professions, a lot of people that gravitate to the helping professions, they have had a history, they've had an experience, they've been through something difficult or something that hurt them. The way I teach it to my grad students is like typically by the time somebody is committed to becoming a social worker or a licensed professional counselor, something has brought them to their knees and made them either not want to be alive or cry to the point that the pain hurt that much. Disappointments, guilt, shames, embarrassments, fear responses, neurobiology, physiology, you know, all the stuff interconnected. But oftentimes it comes down to their experiences with other two-legged creatures on the face of the earth, right? And so one of the best ways that we know how to communicate is verbally, right? And that's why it is the primary way humans tend to communicate. It's not the only way, and it's definitely not limited to because we are incredibly complex creatures. However, for the most part, in terms of psychotherapy, counseling, social work, and helping human services and the helping professions is done typically verbally or long form and written. So the podcast is just another extension of that work. And when we think about it, we think about our stories and our experiences and the highs and lows of what that is. So one person that I think of when it comes to apologies, and it was just a profound conversation, just very, really rewarding, is early in my career, I was helping to run the outpatient program in the evening. And at that point, you know, it's a wide range of clients dealing with a whole series of issues from social issues, employment issues, cognitive issues, addiction issues, trauma issues, phase of life stuff. All of it comes together. But substance abuse was generally what got the folks through the door in that particular program. And during that period, I met, this young woman, Anna, right? And, she's a social worker. And at that point, she was interning, starting her career. Excuse me. And she had a history like everybody, just like myself, right? And you come to that room and, I disclosed some of it along the way and typically did not at that time. I was just, I was in a corporate space. So I didn't have the freedom to just say whatever the F I want any given day. Whereas now I do. And I have some handlers that guide and counsel that people advise, especially with the podcast, right? Because there's limitations and there's ethical things and responsibilities that I have beyond the scope of whatever I think and feel, right? However, strong counselors get to have strong convictions. And I definitely have strong convictions, hence the crooked nose that you see on the screen or I'm telling you about while you're listening. And so me and Anna are working together and she's doing a great job, right? Like in setting boundaries, learning the skills, sorting through her own stuff. And along the way, one evening, her and I are having a conversation and working through some stuff with some clients. But something she said, and this is the power of journaling, because this was years ago, 2017, 16, 17, 18, I don't know, a long time ago. And, she said, like, what I want to just tell clients sometimes is I hate that you feel like you have to apologize. Man, I hate that you feel like you have to apologize. And anybody that's ever had to offer an apology or received an apology, it can be a flood of all sorts of emotions and feelings and uncertainty because two things. One is, hey, I know what that person said or did, right? And they attempted to hurt me or offend me or disrespect me. And if you're aware of it, right, barring an impairment or whatever, you become aware of it. And then there's nothing to do about that, or it is to escalate it and raise the conflict. And so if you think about this kind of conflict where there's something or a transgression or an action, direct or indirect, that's been that has occurred, that's created this incident or this perception of disrespect. There's three levels to that particular game, and what I offer with my students, and then I reflect with my clients in counseling, is encouraging people to give consideration to simplifying things of this nature with a mental model. And the first part is number one is be graceful in receiving that apology, especially if you're unaware of it and it didn't even matter to you, didn't even know it was going on. Because that's that person's projection of whatever they felt that they did. Their moral compass was off. It was an indiscretion. Drugs or alcohol were involved. Never an excuse, by the way. Or circumstances played a role where they behaved in a way inconsistent with how they see themselves, right? Sometimes high character requires people to apologize. It doesn't mean you need to accept that apology, though. And that's the magic in all of it. Right. And for me, I tend to just be graceful in that if it comes up, if I know or I don't know. The second level is that you do know and you're aware somebody said something smart, right, in front of a group in your absence to other people, whatever it was that was disparaging about you, your spouse, your children, the way you look, the way you walk, the way your kids look, your dog, your neighbors, your country, your ethnicity, whatever. Those are level two things. And I think level two things in many cases, right? They may require an action or something to say or do, but they're definitely information to make a decision on. I find that level two things are often best handled in private, via email, phone call, in person. But if somebody doesn't apologize for a level two thing, it tells you everything you need to know about that relationship, especially if you're aware of it, right? And then there's level three things. And I'm not encouraging anybody that hears this, and I'm definitely never encouraging a client, but I do think it is fair to state that level three things end up in courtrooms, the criminal type, not civil. Civil is lawsuits, insurance companies, and suing. Like, that's mildly interesting. It ends up in a criminal court, right? That's a level three thing. The next level would be in surgery, in an emergency room. And then the last part would be the morgue, right? Those are level three games. And when we're thinking about human beings, right, and we get to that point, and this is back to the point about Anna, the people we were serving at the time, some of these people had killed people. Some of these people had stabbed people, shot people, raped people. Some of these people were sexual predators. Some of these people were child molesters. Some of these people had robbed banks. Some of these, everything, the laundry list of all of it, right? Yet in spite of all of that, right, Anna and I agreed that most of these men and women were just folks that needed a hug, and they never learned that they were allowed to be good. And ironically, Anna, just like myself, has a history. And so we look at it through the lens of people that empathize with it at a high degree to understand that, like, yeah, you introduce drugs and alcohol to somebody that's a drug addict. Like, they are capable of all sorts of things, right? And the consequences of that are where the apology and forgiveness come in, especially if somebody chooses recovery. or chooses sobriety, especially when there's been extreme emotional distress and or duress at times, right? And what I would say is, you have to reverse that too. I hate that I have to apologize to this person. And that's if you feel something. And then there's going to be situations, circumstances where that person's not going to want to receive that. There's no amends to be made and they move on. Yet I would just advise for most people when it's level 1 and level 2 games, it's to let it roll off your shoulders as if it never happened. It is to make a note and never forget, though, that that's where that person's categorized you is because they felt safe enough to say or do that in their own story. All right. Now, if you're spiteful like me, what you do is just make a mental note and then you add them into the storyline wherever you are and you wait till they put their guard down a long period of time after that. And then you do some reminding. Right. And that's a way to do it. Right. I haven't outgrown that yet. And I'm petty like that. Public humiliation does work if you need to do that at times, embarrassment or things of that nature, and or just randomly showing up at a Wawa that's in that person's neighborhood, right? Just to let them know that you know that I know that this is everybody's favorite Wawa. Right. And so I'm not encouraging any of that behavior to get to that point. But I think categorizing when an apology comes about where there's a sensation or feeling that I have to apologize or somebody's apologizing to me is to just be graceful in accepting that and be willing to offer a contrition if it's necessary. Alternative to that is where we don't want sad faces and apologies aren't nearly as fun in my experience. I prefer to give and receive compliments. I have found clinically in cognitive processing therapy specifically, that is a big portion of it that is done for about a month on the back end of a full protocol, right? And so when somebody's made the commitment to go through a cognitive processing therapy protocol and they get to week like 8, 9, 10, right? Because they've been working on their trauma now for nearly 2.5, 3 months straight with a clinician trained in it, such as myself, or in your local area, wherever you are. By session 9, 10, 11, 12, we've flipped over and turned over to a side that is focused on being complimentary to everyone and anyone that's out there in the world. And to give and receive compliments is a lot trickier than people think. And in my estimation, giving one compliment a day primes us to seek excellence and look for virtuosity, those wonderful performances. It could be something as simple as a gas station attendant or somebody, the clerk at the store, or it could be somebody at the UPS shop. It could be somebody when you're out shopping for a vehicle at whatever location that you prefer, whatever the thing is. But when somebody's passionate, right, and they're creative and they deliver that performance and they care and they're joyful and then they're a process, it's complementary to the environment. It's not even about you at that point. In for us to give a compliment to recognize what's going on in that space is how we establish that relationship. That's where the mirror neurons fire and that connection happens. So it's like this when we see it because it just feels good. It's like beauty and excellence. When I see it, I know it, I hear it. Right? If I taste it in my food, if I smell it, that perfume or shampoo Mary was wearing on deployment, right? That is part of that. When I zoom way back into priming myself to be open to the compliments that I'm going to offer and give to the world, I'm making myself open to receiving compliments. And the tricky and ugly part of that is that sometimes people don't want to give and receive compliments. So if you can challenge yourself to give one compliment a day, unsolicited, right? And it can't always be the same person, though your friends and family are a wonderful start. I think that is a good way to go about life. I would also add that some people aren't going to want to receive the compliment because they're not complimentary. And then you just have more information about that's a sad face. I don't need to interact with that particular person ever in any way, shape, or form. But I think, as a rule to support apologies, right? Because I hate that you have to apologize. That means you were safe enough to do whatever you did, and now you're apologizing. And I don't, kind of gross. Like, wipe it off, right? You flip it over to the other side, and then you get to a phase of life, and you're like, yeah, like I'm just going to be generous with my money and ruthless with my time, right? And that's not me. That's a Warren Buffett thing, and I want to give him credit, right? Because I think that's profound. Generous with money and ruthless with time. And I have found the more ruthless I've gotten with my time in this lifespan, the better my life has got. It's gotten more profitable. It's gotten more peaceful. It's just gotten better overall. Man, anything else? Go over my notes. Man, pre-July 4th, and this is what I forgot to mention. Man, coaching, training, event side, super exciting, man. Wyatt put up a bronze medal at the X Games, dude. So proud, man. So excited. Just a good young dude, man. Just doing great stuff. And, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, man. Freaking X Games, some bronze medalists at the X Games, dude. Just all the visualization work and the coaching stuff, man. Some people don't need the deep dive into all the emotions and behaviors and anxiety and depression and trauma. Some people just need some excitement for that visualization, what they're trying to create. And I feel like that harpens on the edges of our capacity, capability, whatever that is for you. So Yeah, stop apologizing. Start giving more compliments, and definitely stop apologizing to yourself. Right? Maybe the only apology is like, hey, I apologize to my old self for allowing myself to think that it was okay to think and behave and act in particular ways, or maybe forgive that person as well, right? Because they didn't know, right? But the next page, right, by the end of this podcast, you're going to start considering like, hey, who do I got to give a compliment to today from the heart and the soul, and be okay with it being rejected. The sooner you're accepting of the fact it's going to be rejected, it works. But if you're a dude or dudette, right, generally, especially for dudes, pretty women like to smile. Women in general like to smile. And as a good rule, right, like my grandfather said, it's like, you just make all the ladies smile as much as you possibly can. The data just fills in the blanks for you. I was in 8th grade. He was 100% right. That is played out over and over again. Man. So, yeah, make the lady smile. That's a good thing to do. Just feels right. It's the right thing to do, right? That's somebody's daughter, somebody's spouse, wife, grandma, not in a gross way or perverted or stare down way. Just be kind, polite, right? Give a compliment to a dude, right? Hey, man, look at muscles over here. Dude's jacked, right? Right? People like that compliment. They care. They know, right? Hey, man, right? But compliment them, not their stuff. Their stuff, their things, right? Like that's low value mindset. Man, I love that you're so into this thing, but the process is really what I want to know, right? I'm selfish with that. People are generous with that. But yeah, give and receive compliments. Generous with your money, ruthless with your time. I think we're doing good for today. For all you that were disappointed Mary wasn't on, she'll be back at some point. I don't know. I don't know. She still owes me money for the last one. All good. That's my story. All right, we made it. That was 17 minutes too long. 2 minutes too long. We're okay. We're back on track though. Mary out there just running her mouth all day long, kind of messing things up. Messing up my podcast flow. The lighting's better though. Aunt Jamie's got to get the panels up. Got to log onto the app to figure out how to frig with these lights. I don't know. That's not a curse. I'm not paying anything to anybody. Yeah, July 4th. It was awesome. Men's team let us down. Wyatt put up a bronze medal. It's awesome. He's better than the men's team. Exciting. HR stuff. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm done. I'm rambling.